All right, going live. Physical Media Warriors here. Drew Outstanding, the Outstanding Vet, Tav. Might have a couple people coming in. Today we're doing some QAQC, some inventory, basically looking at what I have kind of going on that I've been collecting lately or over time that I've just been letting collect dust. So that's going to be the plan right now, is just kind of work through talking about physical media and then just doing some inventory. Today we're working on new, so factory sealed, and basically series and box sets. Oh, I think we got Horny Elf in here. Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on? We're live talking physical media.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah. What's
I
going
mean,
on
I
in your world?
I had a crazy day today, but that's for another time.
Sure. But yeah, I was just giving a quick intro, just kind of talking physical media. I've been collecting for a couple years now, well, kind of my whole life, but really
Yep.
intentionally lately. And yeah, I'm just going to need to figure out how to be organized about it. And so doing some QAQC and inventory and, well, all talking too.
Awesome. Yeah. I was I still am a big proponent of physical media. Like especially with video games, because that's like kind of my thing. I collect the old retro consoles, so I like collecting all the cartridges and CDs and whatnot. I had a large DVD Blu-ray collection that may not be mine anymore, but uh, but yeah, I like to collect the especially the retro stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, especially with, like, the memories you have with it, especially like the
Hmm.
the collectors, the box sets, all that kind of stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
and so my plan right now is to work on unopened ones. So basically new ones, factory sealed. So
Right.
all the ones back here, these are all factory sealed. Most of them are ones I picked up at a like garage sale that I guess they didn't really want to open, so they might not
Yeah.
be that good. But then some of them I ordered on Amazon, eBay, whatever, just because I wanted to get that copy and hold on to it, because I think I have like a Top Gun Maverick over there in 4K too, and I'm like, I
Nice.
want to get this one and hold on to it. I think about two copies, one to watch and one to collect.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I love, at least with DVDs and Blu-rays, I love to use to collect the old the ones that came in the metal cases. Those are
Yep.
some of the best looking ones out there.
Yeah, there's a Terminator one that's awesome. I don't think I have it anymore,
I
but
think I've got that one.
do you?
It's got the metal case and it's like shiny, so it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, next time we do this, see if you can do like a camera like
Hmm.
on the item or something
Yeah.
like that. I was talking to a couple other guys that don't go on camera, but if we can do something where you're showing the item, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, unfortunately I'm still in the process of moving. Once I get into my house, I'll be able to get everything organized, get my setup organized, and maybe I can set up a camera that points down at the desk or something, so that I could show items.
Yeah, I was talking to Kratos about that. He's like, "Yeah, I can do a pretty good setup, and we can, look at the ones you have, and yeah, that'd be especially like consoles and video games and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
'Cause those things just look awesome, you know." But yeah, let's start with Dark Knight trilogy. So yeah,
Ooh,
factory
yeah.
sealed. I picked it up. Looks like $6. I probably negotiated. I probably asked for half. That's
It's
usually
got
what
the
I do.
hologram on it, I see.
Yep, hologram. So it's got each one. Oh, that's cool. I didn't even notice that. Oh,
Yeah,
got
yeah. When
each
you picked it
cover.
up, it's got all three movie
Yeah,
in the
because some of them
hologram.
they'll do the hologram just of whatever. But yeah, this one has each of the traditional
Yep.
cover. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, this is the DVD limited edition gift set. So, and I usually like these because of all the behind the scenes, all the extra stuff. This one includes a 64-page excerpt from the art of the making of the Dark Knight trilogy. So that's awesome. But yeah, especially when you get like a good director like Nolan, like this stuff is just basically a time capsule.
Yeah, I've got. I can't really show anything right now, but I've got the three set of DVDs for the Lord of the Rings. Each one of them came out and had a leather, like it felt like leather on the outside, and then you
Yeah.
open it up and it's got multiple folds and it's got multiple discs, and then there's like extra stuff in there. So you can eat just extra stuff, and then the extra behind the scenes stuff is really cool. Did your camera just go down? Uh-oh. I guess I got to carry the show, people.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just running to get it. Were you talking about like this one?
Yes, I have that set. Those
Okay.
are awesome.
Yeah, I haven't dove into it yet. But
Yeah.
you're saying it's got a lot of extra features and stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like especially how it feels like a leather on the outside.
Yep. Platinum Series, it's called.
Yeah,
That's why I like all the different names they call.
I
these
don't
things.
know. I'd love to check out if they did a version of those for the Blu-rays.
Yep, because it's a DVD.
Blu-rays or 4K, whatever.
Another thing I like is all the mergers and acquisitions all these studios do. It's
Yeah.
kind of cool to see the old ones. So this is like New Line right here.
Yep.
Yep. So another reason I like to collect this stuff. But yeah, so yeah, Dark Knight Trilogy. Yep, DVD. I'm definitely going to hold on to that one. And like I said, I like to have 2 copies, one I can watch and one I can collect.
Yep.
This one's a little bit lighter. This is Transformers.
How many? Is that all the movies, or was
It's
that
a 3-movie set. So I think it is
the first
DVD.
3?
So I'm guessing it's just right when the first 3 came out.
Yeah.
That they put it together as a set. It's very light. It's not as tough as the Nolan one or the Dark Knight.
Yeah. Yeah, what was another one? A good one I had. They had a good box set for the Pitch Black movie. It had like the hologram on the outside. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I haven't seen it. Seen the movie.
So it's a Vin Diesel, yeah.
Yeah, seen the movie. How many of those are there? It's Chronicles of Riddick and
yeah,
Pitch
you have
Black,
Pitch
or is
Black
there another?
Pitch Black was first, then Chronicles of Riddick, and then there was a third one that had what's her name? She played Starbuck in the revival of Battlestar Galactica. I can't think of her name.
Okay.
I'm blanking right now, but yeah, that one was okay.
Yeah, that's wild because Vin Diesel was in Fast and the Furious, and he didn't do the second one. Paul Walker goes on to do the second one, and it's a completely different movie because I guess Vin Diesel wanted to do Triple X and like make more money doing that,
Yeah.
and then it didn't do whatever as well.
Right.
And then so he dips out on Fast and Furious, does Triple X, dips out on sequel, then Ice Cube comes in, and then that makes money or starts a franchise. And then Vin Diesel comes back for the third one. And then, of course, Fast and Furious comes back for the third one in a Tokyo Drift in a after credit scene. And then he's full on number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And I don't think any of the Riddick movies really did that well. The first one I saw in the theater, but it was kind of a cult, classic for me.
He wanted it to do better. Yeah, that's why I brought up that story, because like he kept trying to do these new franchises that he could be the lead in all this, and then it never worked out, or he just gave up on it and went back to the drawing board, and then I guess made his Fast and Furious money.
Well, I mean, you can't blame him. The guy, the Fast and Furious movies, they keep pumping those things out.
Yep. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, and then we got Jack Ryan set. So yeah, unopened. This is your Hunt for Red October.
Patriot games. Yeah.
So you got the Sean Connery, then you got the Harrison Ford with Clear and Present Danger. You seen all these?
Yes, I have. Those are all amazing.
Yeah. I was on a submarine kick a couple of months ago and just watched all the ones I could find. I watched Hunt for Red October, U-571, K-19, Widowmaker.
Well, I got a suggestion for you if you still want to see more submarine-related movies. I saw one on Apple TV. It's called Greyhound.
Okay.
And it's got Tom Hanks in it, and it came out during COVID, so that's why it kind of went straight to streaming and kind of got buried. But it's pretty good. It's only a 90-minute movie, but he's not the captain of a submarine. He's a captain of a destroyer escorting freedom ships across the Atlantic during World War II. and he has to take on uh, a pack of what do they call them in this German submarines? A pack of
Like U-boats? Or...
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Nice. I'll check that one out. Yeah, these ones were good. All the Jack Ryan kind of stuff. Yeah, and there was in the Hunt for October. I forgot it was Alec Baldwin. He looks so different, that young
Oh
and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
You just see them as nowadays, and
Oh yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
feel like the same person.
He looked like L.A. Confidential. He was in that, and he looked so young in that movie.
Yeah, and Harrison Ford has aged pretty well. Yeah, I think we talked about that before. Did you watch that 1923 second season?
Yeah, I was actually just watching it
Oh, nice.
with a friend.
Yeah, and he pulls it off at his age, and and all the tough things you got to do in that kind of like
I
period piece.
I have a hard time believing an 80-year-old is riding around on horseback, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, is that his age in the show?
yeah, he even mentions
So,
it that he's in his 80s,
okay.
and
But
he
I
actually
mean,
is in his 80s. But
I guess if you're doing it your whole life,
yeah,
who knows? But yeah, no, that's a good show. But I guess it's over. Or
it is. Yeah, they only did 2 seasons. I wasn't thrilled with the ending, but it was okay. Apparently,
yeah.
they've got a 1944 show coming out next.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool then. Yeah, it'd be nice if it carried on because it's a good show. But at the same time, we've seen how shows go too long and be like,
Oh
all
yeah.
right, maybe we should have thrown it in
It's
there.
like a lot of times these shows that go 8 seasons, they're amazing shows and they just don't know how to wrap it up.
Yep.
Like Game of Thrones is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons, but mainly they just lose sight of it, or the actors' contracts run out and they want more money or whatever the case is.
Yeah, or in Game of Thrones instance, the actors were tired of it and they just kind of phoned it in that last couple seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I was hearing that. And they ran off the source material.
Yeah.
Came to an end. Lot of things on there. I think I told you I watched a ton of I watched Game of Thrones over again the last couple months. And then I watched EFAP, Mahler and them breaking down each episode that they had on there. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like early, like Jeremy Geeks and Gamers and a few other people that like early on. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that they were on EFAP even that long ago. So that's kind of cool.
I wish I could show off, and maybe I'll do it next time if I get my camera set up once I'm moved in. But I think probably my biggest pride as far as things I've collected is a copy of Alien versus Predator
Okay.
on the Atari Jaguar.
Oh, wow.
Let me go and do a really quick search of the price of that game now as opposed to when I bought it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, that's something I like to talk about too, is like how much were they worth at the time and how much are they worth now?
Right.
And then Westworld, do you ever get in this show?
I watched the first season. First season was freaking amazing.
Yep.
I couldn't get into it after that first season. I think the show went off the rails.
Yeah, it did. It tried to do more stuff and everything, but it just got kind of wild. I was in it for a while, and I'm like, after a while, I'm like, this is not very good, but it's like I can't turn it off at the same time. I think I started watching it when the last season was airing, so I was kind of trying to catch up as it was going on, and it just became like a chore to watch it. But
yeah, my opinion, if you're wanting to get into that show, you just want to watch it, or just want something to watch, I would say just watch the first season and stop there, because I thought that was a perfect place to just end it.
Yep.
All right, so Alien versus Predator for the Atari Jaguar. It's a cartridge console. It's the last Atari console that ever existed before they went under and stopped making consoles. I bought the game for, I think it was $25 or $30. I couldn't even find it on Amazon. I found it on eBay for $225.
Wow. Yeah,
The
it's
retro
wild.
game collecting market blew up a couple of years ago,
It
and
did.
especially it got even worse. It was already getting bad before COVID, but once COVID hit, people just started going and buying stuff off of the internet because everyone's stuck in their houses for the stupid
Yep. A lot of people
quarantine.
had money to spend
Yeah,
and
so they just
stuck in
started
their
buying
house.
up all the old stuff they wanted. Oh, okay. So here's a copy of it, cartridge only for $55. So the other one was the full box set. But this is eBay, so these are like were best offer. So, but yeah, it's the console itself. The Atari Jaguar is pretty awesome. I mean, it was a blunder of a system, but I
Yeah,
collected
I
it.
heard about it. I
I
think I played
collected
on
it.
it.
Yeah, I collected it just for that reason because it was such a blunder. I picked the console with two controllers and all the TV and plug power hookups for like $50, and now you go on and it runs for like $500, on Amazon or eBay.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's why I'm just gonna collect. I'll sell if there's a good price, maybe.
Yeah,
But otherwise, yeah, I'm in it for creating my own vault, my apocalypse movie
yeah.
store.
If I ever get to the point where I can get on camera, I want to have a setup where I have like all my retro consoles and all my like action figures set up behind me, kind of like other people do. Because I've got a big collection of old action figures from when I was a kid.
Yeah, Critical Drinker has them in the background, and they're like all lit up and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Because it has a couple different consoles and everything. I'm like, all right, that makes sense.
Yep.
And then the oldest guy, Gary, has action figures all behind him.
Yeah,
For
I
his
got a combination of both, so I could have a pretty good setup. Just
nice.
unfortunately, I can't get on camera.
Yeah. Did you ever get in the house?
Yes, I loved that show when it first came out. The first couple seasons, then I kind of lost touch with the show. Not because I
Yeah.
didn't want to, but we had stuff going on in our lives at the time, and I just stopped watching.
I picked up each season for $1 each.
How many seasons are there?
I don't know, but I got 8. Here's 8, 7, 6, 5, probably 8, 4, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, I'm guessing there's 8. But yeah, I never seen the show at all. But I saw them and they're all factory sealed too. So I'm like,
Nice.
all right, cool, but I can't watch them. I'll just have to watch them somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, each one, yeah, has a full, extra features and everything like that too. So
Right.
I've heard good things. Yep. 1, 2.
I had a bunch of seasons of Scrubs. I love that
Oh,
show.
that's a good show.
Nice.
And he's got the cane too. So that's awesome. Yeah, I was talking to somebody else recently, and yeah, we were saying the same thing about like all the shows used to have like 22 episodes, 24, all that where it took place,
Yeah.
from basically based on school. So like from September to December, then you get the break. So they do a mid-season finale, then they start going again in the
Yeah,
spring.
that was especially so. Well, not even just sitcoms, but sitcoms basically followed that model. But even regular shows did that too. It was just they would make seasons throughout the year, like you said. They'd have their break, and
Yep.
then but they would still make like spring and fall. They'd make their season for that year. It's strange because everyone's going to the 8 to 10 episode model, which was HBO. That was the HBO premium model for shows. But ever since everyone went to streaming, everyone's been trying to adopt that model, which it sucks. And then they for some reason have gotten less efficient with making shows. So it takes 2 years for them to put a second season out.
Yeah. And then they're making all the changes where if you're doing the series throughout the time, you're airing at the same time as you're filming the six episodes in or something
Yeah.
like that. And you can make, small changes to characters and stuff like that. But as opposed to this whole 8 drop with, like Daredevil or Echo or whatever the case is, it's like they just drop it and be like, can't make any changes, so
Yeah.
you better like it. And not often it's not liking it very much.
And that was one of the marquees of South Park. Is South Park would film week to week or do their whatever art week to week to make their episodes, and they could keep up with what was currently going on in the news because they would, they'd see some crazy thing going on in politics or whatever or pop culture, and they would make fun of it in their episodes like the next week.
Yep, they'd be ahead of the game. Yeah, there's a documentary called 6 Days to Air where they break down how they go about that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny is that whole first season of South Park, they were doing the cutouts and like doing still shots.
Yep.
And then like obviously later on they got the computer software that sped up the process, but still.
Yeah, that's wild. No, yeah, that was a good documentary, that 6 Days to Air. And they could stay current with like you said, whatever was kind of going on at the time. And they get to a point they're like, all right, we want to stop making this stuff, but it's quality work, people want it, and they're getting paid so much from, Comedy Central or whoever to keep making it. They're like, here, have some money, just keep making it awesome stuff. And it really hasn't dropped in quality.
Right.
Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah, they've done more specials and stuff like that, but it's kind of like that thing with the Babylon Bee where it's like reality is becoming more, weirder than the satire can even be. Or you go back, like that's what was, I don't think I have it over here, but I picked up South Park. They were talking about it on FNT. I'm bringing Yo Pops. Yo Pops, what's up?
Yo Pops.
Yo, what's going on?
I think I was talking with you, or no, maybe it was somebody else. But yeah, I was talking about the South Park where it was coming up on FNT. And then there a few other places, and they're like, "Yep, they're banning episodes, or like they're not going to have them on Paramount Plus or have you." And then I'm out, go to a garage sale, and they got South Park season 1, 2, and 3 for $1 each. So I'm like, "Yep, picking these up," because they got the banned episodes, Yeah,
nice. They can't take it from you.
Yep. Same with Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They just keep banning those episodes. Like you'll never see them.
Yeah, I've got a couple seasons of South Park. That's always a good one to collect because they're trying to get rid of a lot of those episodes. I mean, because the whole point of the show, and they were pretty good about making fun of both the right and left on their shows, and that's what's great. No one should be off. As far as who we can make fun of, tear everyone apart because everyone's ridiculous.
Yep, that's how it should be. Yo, Pops, we were going over a few. Have you seen Westworld?
No, I heard. Is it about robot? It's like it's a future. It's a future show.
It's like
right?
a Disney World robot Western.
Yeah. It's a theme park that you can go to and interact with the robots and do pretty much whatever you want to them.
Yeah, you can do violent or heinous
perverted
things to them. Perverted. Yeah, I was trying to figure out the right word. Degenerative stuff. So, yeah, it's like a combination of Disney World, Jurassic Park, Terminator all in one. It was really good. It's like it's an earlier movie and a book. I think it's by the same guy, Michael.
Well, yeah, the movie was I think from the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, and they had a couple.
They adapted it into the show. But I was just telling Drew this, but my suggestion, if you want to get into Westworld, is just watch the first season because it gets really weird later on and it just goes off the rails, in my opinion.
Like off the rails? How? Like the show? Just
I think it gets a little woke, and then the story just falls apart.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
It's like they don't have a plan.
Yeah, the first season is perfect though.
And then you lose the main guy, Anthony Hopkins. So Anthony Hopkins is amazing in the first season.
Shit, he's in that one. Okay.
Yeah, I would suggest checking out. Yeah, like I said, the first season at least, and it's great. But then you lose him on later seasons and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we went over that one. I picked up House, so I think every season.
Yeah, you know what? All these shows, like I grew up. Okay, so like House, South Park, not Westworld's I know pretty kind of new, or whatever. But I know all these shows because I grew up like around them, but I never actually like got into them. And then now I notice I'm getting into a lot of these shows and movies or whatever is through like watching TikTok, like YouTube Shorts and stuff. I like I'll get through a whole like I don't know, like a whole season just through shorts. I'm like, okay, I kind of want to see what the full context is, and
yeah,
I kind of started getting back in that way. But I mean, I didn't realize how much I'm missing out. Like, I missed out.
Yeah, I mean, it's oversaturated, or it's saturated to a point where they're just making all this content, especially in the last 5 years. But yeah, you go back to 2010, before 2000s, and there's just a string, pretty much from Sopranos on, and you can even go back to like NYPD Blue, ER, where just like they started doing those type of shows and just got better and better at it. Because it used to be a joke where actors would be like, "Yep, I'm doing TV," and it wouldn't be as good as movies as far as like the awards and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, you're just doing TV to get into movies. But then they changed that around like mid '90s.
Yeah. No, it's funny you bring up like The Sopranos. I'm actually right now I'm on the 4th season of The Wire. My God, man, like I literally haven't been doing anything all week besides just watching The Wire, just really just binge watching it, man. And man, I mean, it's a real good show.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. Yeah, I just want to compare this stuff to like, nowadays with like the writing, there's not as much writing or quality writing, and then the overemphasis on CGI and stuff like that. That just takes away. So it's like, yeah, these older ones, The Wire, The Shield is good too. A couple other ones from the 2010s. Yeah, The Wire. Was that the prison one?
No, that was Oz.
Oz. That's what I'm thinking. Oz is an amazing one. Yeah. I started it, haven't finished it.
It's funny to see all of them in like Oz, like because Detective Stabler is in that. The farmer's insurance dude is. I know they're like I'm skipping I'm messing up their names. I don't know. I remember their names right now, but like they're all like in there, and then you're like, holy shit, these people actually like they had pretty good careers like after this, like insane.
It's awesome to look at the filmography because even going back and watching like an old DVD that I find, and it's like there's supporting characters that are huge now that were just small back then. Yeah, Black Hawk Down is good about that. That has a huge cast of people that just like blew up over the last 25 years.
Yeah, especially in that military genre too. A lot of them you saw him in like other like the
Eric Bana. Yeah, he got dialed in. He was in, I think, Lone Survivor. Yeah.
Another one is I like watching Band of Brothers because you see all the guys that are in that show. Because I'll see them later, when I see him in other stuff, and I'm like, oh, he's from Band of Brothers.
Fucking Ross is in it. Fucking Ross.
Yeah, Ross.
Yeah.
And they were filming that when
was it Friends? When he was doing Friends?
Yeah, when Friends was still going on, because that show came out in 2001 and Friends ended in 2003, so he was still playing Ross at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, planning his next break. Maybe it was the wrong role.
Office Space was in there too. Fuck, what's his name? The main character from Office Space. Dude.
Oh
Peter,
yeah, Ron Livingston.
Ron Livingston. Yeah, he's one of the commanding officers too, I think.
Yep. And then the other guy from Homeland and a few other movies. The ginger guy. Can't remember his name.
Oh, there's a guy that was in Walking Dead that was in that Band of Brothers.
Really? Which one?
So remember the guy with the beard, red hair, ginger?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He was a ginger in Walking Dead, but he was blonde haired in Band of Brothers.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's why I like to go back and revisit these things. But yeah, Yopops, just catch you up. We're going through different ones like QAQCI and talking about them. Today I'm working on these box sets that are unopened.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, I wanted to. I was thinking about like the topic. It's like physical media is like and I was thinking about it, it's like the one thing that you don't get nowadays with like streaming is if someone brought it up. I think it was on like we were talking about this on the GCA or something. I can't remember, but is that you don't get the commentary stuff. You don't get the extras. You don't get the behind the scenes footage that came with like a box set or even like a DVD. Sometimes it was like a 2-part. It had the main seasons and then another like extras. Like you don't get that with streaming, man. And like
it just rolls right into it.
Yeah,
or you get a commercial for some other random HBO show or whatever.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing too. Is like when the streaming thing first started coming out, it was like there wasn't commercials. Like, and then now it's like I don't know.
Well, that's because they're all going under except for Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing. Well, first they do internal commercials where they do it for their own. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're paying for no commercials, but we're going to give you our other stuff." It's internal. It's like,
I think they're realizing the streaming game is not as once everything got competitive, it's not as cheap as everyone thought it would be. I mean, yeah, you got to build the servers, you got to pay for the server space, whatever. You got to pay licenses to have some of the content, unless it's your own on your service.
Yep.
It was just easier when there was fewer streamers, and these studios could just license their stuff out to the streamer. That's how Netflix. I mean, Netflix paid a crap ton of money for Friends, to keep it on their on Netflix for a long time.
Yeah. I don't know how much they paid for Suits, but man, that show blew up. Like when it came, like because it aired like in whatever 2008 to for how many seasons, and then it just stopped on USA. And then it comes to Netflix, and it's the number one show, number one whatever movie show, number one everything on Netflix for a long time. And so it's just making all this movie money, and it even like brought back. They decided to reboot the show, and they did it with Stephen Amell from Arrow, and Los Angeles version. I think it crapped out, but man, yeah, they got a return on investment for that show.
Yeah. I just think there's too many streaming services, and I think you'll see a lot of them go under and merge with others.
I hope so.
And then you get down to, I think we'll get down to like 3, 4, or 5 main streaming services. I've been watching Apple TV, and they've got some good stuff on there, but it just no one knows about it, Unless you're getting the word of mouth out, but yeah.
Yeah. That's like my main problem with this. One of the main complaints about the streaming thing is like there's too many, and then like you get all these shows, and someday, like one day you're like, okay, I want to watch this specific show because someone told you, but it's like, oh no, it's on Netflix. We have Amazon Prime, but then I don't know if it starts consolidating, then I think we'll have bigger problems when that starts happening, when there's like limited avenues of like who streams and stuff, and then so these like they'll be like the top 3, and then they have control over like a whole bunch of like IPs and stuff like that, and then like they'll just like, oh no, we don't like this one, we get canceled, and then you have nowhere else to go to watch stuff.
Then you also have the streamers that came around later, but they went straight to the commercial model on theirs, like Tubi and whatnot. They're free services, but they went in and they started buying up like franchises that people didn't want to pay for, so like you go on there and you find stuff like, I go on Tubi or Freevee or whatever they're called. You find stuff that I haven't seen in years, because they're not playing it on the main streaming
Ninja
services.
Turtles cartoon
is
on one of those. Yeah, and you can watch the whole thing. I'm like, this is awesome. That's basically what Netflix was back then, when it was like $5 or something.
Yeah.
It was basically, you got the DVD one for like $5 a month, and then they're like, oh yeah, you have the streaming as well. And I'm like, this is great. But yeah, what else do I got? Oh, this one I had to get as soon as Arrow was done. I wanted to get the complete season of Arrow. So nice. I definitely bought this one on, because back then, like, it was like 22 episodes a season, and just like the respect for like the choreography, the fight stuff, the story, everything like went very well into it for a freaking CW show that nobody was like anticipating.
Yeah, I never watched that show, but I did watch the first couple seasons of Flash.
Yeah,
the first season of Flash was really good.
Arrow.
Yeah.
I would suggest it. Like you can start it. Like the first couple of seasons are amazing. It kind of gets more CW romantic, type thing, but it stays for a while. But yeah, that first season is a banger. The idea was it was supposed to be Gotham, so it was supposed to be a young Bruce Wayne. It's supposed to be like kind of like a Batman Begins, but played out over a long period of time. Kind of like a combination of Batman Begins and the animated series, where you find out how he got all of the fighting, the karate, the detective stuff, how he got each thing to become Batman. So yeah, kind of like based on Smallville. But then they're like, oh wow, this Nolan trilogy has taken off. We're gonna, you can have Arrow, and basically they made it look just like Arrow or like Batman, Bruce Wayne, but used Arrow, which they're very similar. Billionaire gets Arrow gets lost on Green Arrow, it gets lost on an island, and then has to figure it out. So no, it was really good at the time. But yeah, what sucks is Flash came out then, and then like a lot of the good people from Arrow went over to Flash. So like you notice like the writing changed, the music, a lot of stuff. They're like, all right, you kind of left like a shell of what Arrow was, and then into Flash, and then they did that like a few more times. Yeah, with the different ones, and it just got so watered down. But yeah, I suggest Arrow, and you can like pick when you want to like stop it. But yeah, those first are great.
Yeah, the CW like DC shows were good in the beginning, and then it just got kind of cheaper. Like they stopped putting as much money into the shows as they went. It wasn't as obvious, I think, on the Arrow show, but on Flash, it was definitely obvious. Yeah, there's a lot of special effects that go into that. So when they started like cheaping out on it, it showed in the last several seasons.
Yeah, the last several seasons, and then like mid episodes. If it wasn't that beginning, that mid season finale or the finale, you could tell it's like okay. Well, yeah, I was talking to Adam the other day. The other day about Supernatural, where that one goes on for 15 seasons, and it pretty much stays consistent the whole time. They'll go through phases where they'll do different stuff, like more religion heavy to monster heavy.
Yeah,
but yeah, the CGI and everything kind of stays with it.
I preferred. I thought that show went on for too long. Supernatural. I liked it, but I was more of a fan of the one-off episodes where they like one-off like hunt a monster or something. But
Monster of the Week.
Yeah, I preferred that to the running religious story that they kept doing. That's just me. Like I liked the Scooby-Doo episode. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I mean they had to come up with something, but no, it was good. Yeah, I mean that was based on X-Files, where X-Files, they don't win every episode. It's usually they lose, because it's like, all right,
that's the search of the
serial killer is just going to keep going,
Yeah,
because it was meant to be the X-Files. It's not it doesn't have a happy ending. Here's a case that they couldn't figure out. Here you go, Mulder and Scully, go work on it, or they get it right away and they're like, we can't figure this thing out, but here's what happened in 40 minutes. What else do I got? Yeah, I think it was when Disney bought Marvel and all of them. I went back and I picked up all the Daredevil, Punisher,
all
those ones. And that was when they're like, yeah, we're not making any more. So I'm like, yep, I want to get them and just collect them and just kind of leave them there. So yeah, this is a Punisher season 1 and 2.
I remember that.
Much better.
I remember that.
Okay.
When Daredevil, the first season came out, I was trying to find the DVDs for that. The first season, they didn't even want to make DVDs. They wanted to keep it to streaming.
Yeah, that was a deal with Netflix early on. House of Cards, Daredevil. They're like, no, it's on Netflix. Go and watch it on Netflix. And then, yeah, it took a while.
Yeah, I think they got enough people banging down their doors. Hey, we want these discs,
Yeah, and then hopefully it has some extra features like you're talking about, Yo Pops. Doesn't say on this one, but it's got and then going back to the art, it's like you're not going to get this on.
Yeah, a little screenshot of whatever they're whatever the hell that they put on the background for the screen or whatever. I mean,
yep. Yeah. I mean, I just keep coming up with reasons to collect this stuff. It's like fine by me, and like you said, like the streaming, they keep increasing ads, so you're going to have ads eventually. Or you're going to have to pay a lot, which is right now. Like all these ones cost extra for having no ads. Mm-hmm. And that's just the same as cable. Then you're just going to get the whole, like, you remember like TBS, TNT, where they, you're watching James Bond or whatever the case is, Die Hard, and it's not the same freaking movie. Yeah. They chop it around and they do it for time and violence and whatever. It's like, it's not the same freaking movie. Like, yeah, I'll watch it, but it's like it's not the same.
Yeah.
What else you got? Okay, yeah, this is I'm trying to collect all of Breaking Bad. I only have a few.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
have you seen it?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I binged that after the fact, like after it completed, I binged it. But yeah, it's luckily it's only 4 seasons, so
okay. Yeah, this is the 5th. It must be 5.
Oh, there maybe is 5.
I think there's like 5 or 6 or something like that.
No, I think 5 is the final.
5? Yeah, it's something like that.
Okay.
And then there's the
offshoot.
Better Call Saul. Yeah, Better Call Saul's good. Fucking that one. I think I like Better Call Saul over Breaking Bad, to be honest with you.
It's more artistic, it's more getting into the character.
Yeah, Better Call Saul went on for more seasons too.
Oh, that's right. Huh?
Yeah, I was surprised. Like that was a slow burn, and they just kept it going. It ended not too long ago.
And then the movie, they had a movie, like a little mini movie, with the Jesse Pinkman character. It was like El Camino or something like that.
Yep. Did you see it?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I felt it was a little cheesy at times. There's a shootout scene where he fucking does a little shootout with I don't know, it was kind of cheesy. Like it's supposed to be like a Western style, but they're like semi-autos and like the one dude's like clicking the hammer back of his 1911. It's like, bro, if you got a loaded 1911, that should already be cocked back. And I just kind of whatever. But other than that, it was good. I thought they really fleshed out like what happened to Jesse after all that.
Okay,
so,
that might be good. Yeah, I heard about it, but I just never got into it. Yeah.
As far as like, let me ask you, Drew. Let me ask you. Well, I mean, maybe even Alf too. But as far as like physical media goes, I mean, like, there can't be a market for platers and stuff right now. Are we talking? We got to go get like stuff that's being sold secondhand if we want to get into it. You're talking about like because dude, my laptop doesn't even have a thing for CDs anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, my computer doesn't have a CD or DVD drive. You know, anything like that. Yeah, you can make it, and that's the thing. I started buying old consoles too. So I got an Xbox One and an Xbox 360. Okay. So I picked up those, and I'm like, all right, those are good for alone, but also it's a DVD player and a Blu-ray player at the same time. Each of those. So it's like, okay, now I got that. I can play it on as well. I don't know. I'm just doing it for the art.
They sell Blu-ray players on Amazon. They're fairly cheap. Holy crap. I think it's going to be a niche thing, like the Blu-ray players / 4K players. I think, because I mean, look in the music genre. We still have record players.
Yeah,
people are still buying records.
They're selling them too. Like bands are selling records.
It is more of a niche thing, but I think that's what physical media will become, as long as the companies are still willing to make it.
Yep. I just figure it's like gold or dirt, it's like they're not making any more of it, so it's like might as well collect it. At least for the memories and something to watch, especially if, internet goes out and now you're screwed. That happened to me the other day. My internet freaking went out, or the power went out, which took out the internet and everything. And I'm like, I can't do anything right now. Even my cell phone doesn't get good reception, so it relies on Wi-Fi to even do anything. And I'm like, this is horrible.
Oh, right here on Amazon, you can pay $50 for an external Blu-ray player to hook up to your laptop.
Oh, really?
And it comes with extra ports for USB 3.0 and other compatible drives. So there you go.
Nice. Yeah, that's what's cool is you can do anything. Like if you're into something, there's somebody else that's done it before, and they can make it work with a computer or an external or software or whatever the case is. But yeah, it's better than just turning on streaming and just binging and,
well,
not moving from the couch.
And that's something they really haven't gotten down, is the audio on a lot of streaming is awful.
Yeah.
It's gotten a little better, but it's still not the same quality of having a disc and putting it in.
We're talking about if you're going full on like surround sound, if you're getting like super big with the audio, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. If but yeah, I think audiophiles will be able to tell a difference.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, for sure. That's the same with like records too. If you're like a true audiophile, there's a certain warmth and like tone to a record, the song on an actual record, and versus like a CD or whatever.
Yeah.
Nice. Another one I had to pick up because it was only $1. Seinfeld.
Nice. I love that show.
This is 1, 2, and 3.
I just recently did a rewatch of the later seasons. That show is so good.
God, how I like it. Well, spoiler alert, everybody. But towards the end of the actual show of Seinfeld, they end up going to fucking jail, right?
Yeah.
And then like you don't realize throughout like the whole entirety of the show just how awful these people are.
Yeah, it's like I was upset about that when that ending first happened, but then like coming back and thinking about it, these guys are just awful.
Well, yeah, they're going through different women and men throughout the whole show. They always got like a different person, like Elaine and Jerry and stuff like that. And yeah, it's wild the stories that kind of happen just from week to week when you're watching it. Because I think I watched it at the time, like with my dad, and then also was on syndication eventually. And what's great about that, they don't really do that anymore. They showed it in order, where it's like if you're watching it every day at like 6 or 7 o'clock, on a weekday, it's like you can watch the whole thing. You can kind of binge it on a weekly or it's not really binging, but you can watch it in a series. When it's syndicated, and you just don't really have that anymore. You have the streaming stuff, but not the same.
And I know a lot of people like binging. I like binging, but Gary has said this from Nerdrotic multiple times. It's a better business model to drop it week to week.
Oh yeah,
you build an audience over time, especially if it's a good show and you get that word of mouth out there. It keeps building and keeps building, and then you're carrying that show, the strength of that show, longer than you would if you just dropped it and everyone binges it in a week. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. Back in the day before all the streaming stuff, it was like you had your show, right? Every week it would come out, whatever. And like after the show came out, you go into work tomorrow, the next day, or you go into school or whatever. And you guys, the water cooler talk, guys like this. Oh, remember you guys saw the episode last night? Blah blah. And it would go on.
I remember doing that
months.
I remember doing that with South Park. Every time a new South Park episode came out, we'd be in the office talking about it the next day.
Yep.
Can't really say that. Yeah, that's the thing. It's word of mouth. It's talking about different theories or different things that were funny or something that somebody else saw that you saw differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like these shows that we're on. It's cool to talk about different things and you see it in a new perspective.
Definitely.
All right, what else we got here? 24.
Oh, that's a good show. Yes. Oh, I watched it when it came out on Fox. I was glued to that TV set every Friday or Thursday. I can't remember, but oh man,
I need to catch that show. I'd never watched it when it came out. I think I was in college, and it was just my parents were obsessed with it. And I was like, they're watching it. I don't want to watch it.
No, it was good. I watched it when I was in the Army, and so people had the whole box set, and so I would binge just the whole thing and stay up way too late because it would just like Yopops, do you remember? Like it would go beep 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 with at the end of the episode. At the beginning and the end. So it's 24 hour or an hour an episode, and it would get to the end of the episode, and I'm like, I can't, just leave, and then it would flow right into the next hour. And it's like, okay, I really need to go to bed.
That was I think I was in middle school when that show came out because it was like a little bit after 9/11, I think, when that show kind of came out. And I was like, dude, I mean, you're never gonna have a show like that. That kind of spy action show. Like, oh man, Kiefer Sutherland did
spy.
A really good
It
show,
was
man.
after 9/11, like you said. It was crime scene kind of stuff. It was a lot. There was a lot going on. Yeah, you should watch it from the beginning.
Yeah, it's like crime scene / dealing with terrorists, and which was a big hot button issue at the time.
And politicians and military. It was kind of all wrapped up into one, and just And it's just Jack Bauer's just like is like a John Wick, where it's just like, or a Batman. It's just this perfect person for the job, you know. And it's like, all right, I'm here for whatever. Go on your adventure.
In my mind, as far as I'm concerned, President Palmer was the first black president of the United States. That's it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. Another car insurance.
Yeah, that's right.
Guy.
Oh yeah.
Are you in good hands?
Allstate. Yep. That's funny.
24.
Yeah,
you know what?
I mean, they kept going on with seasons.
Yeah.
The main one kind of stopped, and then they brought it back, and it wasn't as good then.
I would say the first two. I think the first two, and I don't know if they had a third one, but I remember watching like the first two consistently, and I think those were good. I know that it went on for a little bit longer, I think, but yeah, first two seasons.
Yeah, 24. I'm gonna have to collect all those. I think I only have the first season.
Yeah, that's the best one though, man.
Yeah, I know.
Best one.
Yep, putting that in the vault. All right, what else we got? Mad Men.
Oh, I've only I
that's-
scratched the surface on that one.
I did. Yeah, I just scratched the surface. I think I saw like most of the first season. It was pretty good.
It's a slow burn for sure. You know,
I like it. I like it because it's a period piece. You know,
it's a good concept.
Captures the 1960s. I think it starts out in the early 60s.
Yeah, because he came back from the war too. I think he was a war veteran or some shit.
Yeah,
World War II veteran.
Yeah, no, it was good show. I watched it. I think I did watch it on Netflix and just binging it because they had it all on there. I think it was playing on TV. It was like an AMC one, I believe. And then it would take, once the season would get done, it would take like 6 months, and then they would drop it on Netflix. And I'm like, awesome! Like I'll watch each one, and those were good because it was like a start and stop on each episode. So like I could just watch one episode and then go about my day.
I if they're done right, because I really like period pieces. If they're done right, they don't age. You know, so like if they do it right, you know, authentic stuff to that time period. The show, you know, has basically an everlasting, you know, because if you do like sci-fi stuff, that can age because it look like, you know, the special effects will look worse over time. But period pieces, you know, capture that time period, and I think they age well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Tarantino said, you know, what's your favorite time to do to film a movie or whatever? Like he said, anything before cell phones. He said cell phones just ruined it because it's like a magic key. You know, it's like, oh, the character needs something. Oh, I'll just put it in my cell phone, and now I can get from here to there. Where it's like, you know, like we're talking 1923 and all these Band of Brothers. You didn't have that. You had to rely on, you know, your knowledge, skills, the people you were with, or whatever the case is. But yeah, now cell phone is just like a magic wand.
Dude, that whole phone thing now, it's like, okay, like I'll watch a movie that I've watched before like cell phones came out, right? Maybe the character's like on his notebook or something going down. And now it's like, first the thing that pops in my head is like, oh, wow, he's on his phone. I'm like, wait a minute, they didn't have phones back then. Like, it's just crazy, like how perverse or pervasive, or I don't know what's word I'm looking for, that the cell phones have gotten in. And like even a movie I've watched back in the day, like the first thing that comes to my mind, I was like, oh, he's on his phone. He's looking at his phone. Wonder what he's going to pull out. Well, no, he's just on his notepad or something.
And just such a weird thing. Like we watch entertainment to be entertained by these people that have these skills, but it's watching somebody on their phone, like in real life, it's the most boring thing, you know, you can do. It's like, all right, cool. You're on your phone. I guess I can be on my phone.
Yeah.
We're both in the same setting, you know, it's wild. Yeah, so like back then, they'd have notebooks, they'd have whiteboards, like Ocean's 11 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, we're gonna, you know, do all this, and here's the plans,
and landline telephones.
Yep.
Oh, that's the thing with The Wire too. When I was watching The Wire, it's like that's when like the cell phones first started getting ubiquitous, or whatever. But it's like they're still on payphones. They're still using landlines. I'm like, holy crap, dude!
I mean, landlines are still used like in office environments today, but it's don't have to have one in your house, you know, because everyone has cell phones.
Because a lot of it's like a soft phone, like on a computer. So
it's up to the computer. It's not necessarily a landline. So I know the phones in my previous office were all set up through the internet, so it was going through the internet instead of a
Oh,
hard
yeah.
line phone line. But it's still, phones on your desk, that you
Right.
pick up. It's still got the cable and everything, and
Yeah, it was wild. I was working when they changed over.
yeah, they're
my
IP
job.
based.
And it's like they're like, we're taking your phones, and we're like, what? It's like, and you just got to get used to like typing numbers to dial and stuff.
So we don't do it on our computers, although we do have Microsoft Teams that we use for work because you can do conference calls on that. But we've also got like they're IP based phones. It's an actual phone on the desk, but it's IP based, so it goes through the internet. Yeah. I don't use the landline phone very much because we got chat. We can chat with all of our fellow employees.
It does the same function, yeah.
Yeah.
Or everything's Teams or Zoom or whatever. It's weird that we grew up in kind of both ages of internet or cell phones or social media where we've seen both sides. It's going to be tough to explain it to kids.
Dude, I still remember floppy disks. I remember when like I first saw a computer, they still were using floppy disks, and I remember the big ones too.
Yeah, I had the big ones.
Yeah, those the
ones that actually were floppy.
Yeah, you're like
3.5 inch, right?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know, they're huge. They're like the size of your face. You know what I mean? And like I remember the slot was pretty big. It was like a tray, almost like a size of a little pizza tray or something.
Yep, Oregon Trail and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. You had like 3 or 4 of them. You had to switch them out.
And then it was a smaller disc, and then it was the zip disk or whatever it was, where it was like a thick one, and then USB, and then nobody uses that anymore. It's wild. All right. So yeah, I must have picked this one up at a sale too. It's like Arrow season 3, so it's a standalone one. So I could just watch this one if I wanted to and keep the complete series intact. Yeah, it wasn't bad. They started, like you said, I like it for the commentary and the bonus features and stuff like that. And they started bringing it in more. It turned more into a team, like an ensemble. And when it did that, it's like, all right, now they're trying to get everybody get their own, storyline in the episode, and it just didn't mash as well.
Okay,
but
a little bit too complicated, or what? It sounds like they just a little too much noise.
Just because they have to share all the time basically. And it was okay with Arrow because they each had like a function, but then when they got doing that with the Flash, it's like, okay, most of the people don't have powers or anything. It's like, yeah, you got the IT guy, and the reporter and the science person, but it's like it's not the same. They're like, we're Team Flash now, and it's like that's not really so much, but they're trying to cater to a wide demographic of people watching it and stuff. I don't know. It was wild. Yeah. Walking Dead. I know a lot of people have seen it. Just everybody seems to stop at a certain point.
Yeah. Walking Dead. I think they dragged out too much. I stayed through the seasons with Negan where he was fighting them. I think they could have ended that show right at the point where Negan was defeated, and it would have been fine. But I
thought that was going to be it, but they kept going.
Yeah, I think
and actors started to fall off, and storylines didn't go anywhere, and it was so wild. Like one of the, I can't remember. It might have been when Rick went away, and it was like you could tell they were beefing up the episode to like, okay, somebody's going to die in this episode, and then it was like Rick's last episode, and then after that, it was like this whole thing of 6 years later now, and then this wagon comes in with all these new people, and I swear it you could have wrote the DEI wagon on the side of it.
Oh yeah,
it was like
yeah, that
was like a deaf person, and this was 10 or 15 years after the apocalypse.
Deaf person survived.
Deaf person, a fat guy that's like the comedy relief guy.
15 years though.
Yeah, and he's huge, and it's a bit what have you been just inside trucking McDonald's?
Everyone should have found him. He went to the food. That's where all the food went. Was that guy was eating it?
I didn't. Yeah. I honestly didn't like the time jump. I thought that was silly.
Yeah, it lost me on that one, and I tried to stay with it. And I'm like, there's nothing else to watch. I'm just gonna stay with it. It's gonna get better. And nope, it just kept going down. And then they started bringing back characters in, like Maggie, because she had her own. They kept building up all these storylines, and then the actors would just peace out, because And it was some weird thing with AMC wanted a certain way, wanted the episodes aired a certain way. And so you'd have like a whole episode of just like two people. And it just wasn't very entertaining. And then they'd all come together like mid-season finale or whatever like that. And it's like, I don't know. It became like the MCU, like homework, basically. So like every episode, it's like, okay, who are we watching this week? Not my favorite people, probably, you know? And it was just a shift from before where it's like, okay, it's a small group and they're figuring out this apocalypse, and to be like, all right, these two people are going to go on their little, kind of like Falcon and the Winter Soldier or whatever. It's like, okay, I guess they're going to take their little journey together.
Yeah. And I liked
and everything.
I loved the or not loved, but I liked when they brought out the second show, Fear of the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I liked it for the first season, anyways, because it showed how society broke down. I enjoyed that season, but that show got kind of weird later on too.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can show something like, okay, how is LA going to handle it? Because we saw how Georgia, DC, Virginia, that area handled it. But then they're like, okay, we're going to show you California and what that was like, and then follow these characters. But then they just, I don't know, messed up that one too, and they did a whole freaking shift. And then they start bringing in characters from Walking Dead into
Fear the Walking Dead, right? Or something. They like started,
and it's a different timeline, and then it's across the country, and it just got freaking wild. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could study that show of what went well and what didn't.
Yeah,
maybe I will. Maybe I'll freaking rewatch that whole thing and break it down.
Yeah, I pretty much stopped like right after Glenn got killed. And then, like a little bit after Negan, because like, I don't know, at first I hated Negan. I don't like him because he killed my boy Glenn. And then, but as time went on, and this was like, I think Trump was trying to become president too at this point. And just like the shit Negan would say. And I was like, I was just like, holy shit, like, dude, this guy could fucking like, he was, I don't know, just like, it was just such a weird time at that time.
Well, I like
Trump for some reason.
Like, I like the actor that played Negan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah, he was a father in Supernatural, which he was only there for like a few episodes, like the pilot and a few other ones, but amazing. And then he was a couple, so he did the Walking Dead as Negan, and then in Snyderverse he was Bruce Wayne's dad, which that would have been they could have, if they went in that direction and then did the whole Flashpoint of how Bruce dies instead of the parents, that would have been a crazy an awesome kind of thing to see in real life, because he could pull it off too. Jeffrey Dean Morgan as like he basically became Batman, but a more like Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry kind of one, where it's like zero fucks given. Like he's putting criminals down and just does not care, and he's like drinking every night, and
he would have some funny one-liners too, some like snazzy little one-liners like before he does whatever.
And he's got like, he funds it. He doesn't like do the philanthropy of helping out the city. He's got a casino basically, and so he's like, the casino funds his vigilante stuff. It's wild. Yeah, they could have done that, and Snyderverse, that just fell apart.
If you guys ever get a chance, Robot Chicken, they did a Walking Dead special. If you ever get a chance, watch. Yeah, it's funny, and they get the original voice actors or the original actors to do like the actual characters or the voices and stuff, and it's fucking funny. Like
they've been doing that for a while. I didn't get into it till later, but they did a bunch of the Star Wars stuff, and like you said,
DC,
the real actors.
Yeah, they have like 3 DC specials, and like it's all based on whatever DC characters and stuff.
Yeah, I love Robot Chicken. It's fucking hilarious. Was it the one they did about the kids playing with the Bop It? And then
it
turns into a rifle.
Shoot him! Zip it! Fucking, that was one of my favorites.
Nice. I don't know if this one came up, but Andy Griffith's show.
Nice.
Now you're going all the way back now, huh?
I guess so.
Dude,
it's one of those words just like, I'm like, I can buy all the movies. Like, I really don't want to go through all of them. How can we make a deal on everything? So I'll get like 80 DVDs for like $20. It's like, And then you'll get like these ones in here that were I would never bought it by itself, but it's like, all right, this won't be too bad, you know?
Dude, that's great for me because like I was a really young child in the 80s, but my family didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't really get cable TV until much later. So we had like 8 channels that we could watch, and one was TBS. And of course, especially during the summers when I was home from school, they'd be nothing but the old TV, the old shows like Andy Griffith and all those. I Love Lucy. So yeah.
Yep. Man, for me, Andy Griffith show is like I just remember it's like when that show was on. By the time I came home from whatever, like I know I had a really late night. It's like one of those shows that would be like either in the middle of the afternoon, like when there's nothing else on, either like really late at night where it's like like no one's awake. I remember, and then
yeah, those old channels like TMC or Turner Movie Classics or whatever. Not Nick at Night. What was it? There's a Nickelodeon one, I want to say.
Yeah, Nick at Night was
that what it was?
Yeah, Nick at Night they would play all these old shows like Andy Griffith and I Love Lucy and Bewitched.
Yep, most of it was black and white, and you're lucky to get some color on those ones. Yeah, that was wild. All right, The League.
I never watched it.
I've never watched that.
It's it's just based on a football league, with friends and everything like that, and it is hilarious. Yeah, I would suggest it because each of them has their own personalities. Like one's a lawyer and one's Taco is just awesome. He's just a random. Not saying anything bad, but he's like the drunk 3PO. But he's always like in tune with everything. So like he becomes a notary. He's like, "Yep, I'm a notary," and then they like make fun of him, but each one of them like needs that notary like right away. And he's like, "All right, well, it's gonna cost you, and or meet me here at this random place down an alley, and I'll do it." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, okay, fine." Yeah, no, The League is a good show, especially if I'm not way into sports, but it was cool to just see the dynamics of it. But yeah, I think it's the complete season 1 on one disc.
When did that show come out?
It was on FX, and I want to say like 2010. It was around that time.
Okay.
But FX was still
like
good.
4 years or 4 seasons.
Is FX even still around? Are they still? And it's been a while since I've been on any like.
I think it's part of Hulu now. At least
okay.
Hulu releases their shows. They were making good shows for like a while.
It
was like FX, USA, and AMC. Yeah. And AMC, like they were just crushing it. Like before the streamings really got popular. Yeah, cause a lot of these are on there. Walking Dead, Mad Men are both AMC. Breaking Bad. Yeah. Yeah, maybe because it was just a good deal rather than going to HBO or whatever else. They could figure it out. All right, then we got Dexter.
Nice. I liked the first couple seasons, but I think they drug that out way too long, and they keep doing new Dexter stuff. It's like I don't care about this character anymore.
I never got into it. I had friends that were like they're raving about it when it first came out, but I watched a couple episodes. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was a bad show, but I don't know. I just never piqued my interest, I guess.
Yeah, I liked it that it was different from everything else. But like you said, you can only do so much of a different thing.
Yeah, because they did a revival, and I think they're bringing it back again. I don't know, but
yeah, it's on right now as a prequel. But so he has a part of it. I forgot the guy's name, Michael something.
Oh, Shannon, something like Michael Shannon or something.
No, not Shannon.
Not Dexter or
Michael C. Hall.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it was a 3-part. But no, it was like a good cast and everything like that. And it's cool because like he was doing the mental thing, the voice narration, in his head. So he'd be like bringing in donuts and saying, "How's your day?" And how'd the kid party go and stuff like that. And in his mind, he just can't wait to focused on the next serial killer that night or whatever. So I like that part of it. And then, it got a little crazy later on because he like had a kid, like he had a baby, he had a baby, and I'm not going to go into way spoilers, but it got a little bit wild. And then, like you said, Alf, like they did that, and it pretty much had a good show ending, kind of like Breaking Bad, where it's just like, okay, this is the end of the character, that's it, and we're like, okay, cool. But then they brought him back. They're like, and then now he's got a son, like, or no, it was that same son that grew up. That's
they did some new seasons, and they were like, I don't know if it only went one season or what, but it was him with his older son.
Yep.
He aged up obviously, but yeah, I just didn't care to even watch it.
Yep, it didn't make sense. It was either a copy of what happened before, or it was just like wild. Because the son comes to him and he's like, I'm all fucked up. Dad, help me out. And he's like, I don't know who you are. Get out of here. And then the son gets in trouble. He's like, all right, now I'm going to save you. It's just, it got very much like, you remember how like Aladdin had like number 2, like Return of Jafar and that kind of stuff. It was like a straight to DVD, but instead it was straight to streaming. And then they're missing all the rest of the cast. And now it's a prequel. And so he's like in his mind talking to his younger self in a way. And I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard good things, but I don't trust anything nowadays.
But that's the thing, is like there's shows that everything's always reversed. It's like there's shows that should have just stopped at a certain point. It would have been good. It would have been evergreen. People would have been still raving about it. You would still had people watching and all that, but they decide, oh no, whether it's the money or whatever, we're gonna just keep pushing it, just becomes stale, and then people just start hating it. And then you have shows that like they ended too soon, and then like you're just like, oh god, I wish they would like do at least a couple more, tie up some loose ends, this and that, but that never happens. Like, and those are usually pretty good shows where they just, I don't know, like really just
that's gotta be the exception, not the rule at this point. Because Daredevil just crushed my hopes. I got Disney Plus again just because of that, because like I want to watch Daredevil. People are saying it's better. It's going to be this. You want to watch each one. I got it for like $2 or whatever a month for a couple months. And then even before that ran out, I'm like, nope, canceled. I don't want Disney Plus anymore. This is garbage. They ruined Daredevil. And can't do it.
Yeah,
I can't believe that they'll bring things back in a better way.
I couldn't finish that season. I just couldn't. I got like 2-3 episodes.
It's probably better.
I gave up.
You can watch EFAP. EFAP does a better breakdown of like what happens, and like I'll just like listen to EFAP in the background, and they do a much better job, and they line up, each scene and stuff. Yeah, don't hurt your brain watching it.
Yeah, it was bad. Like I said, I watched I think 2 episodes, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait and see what everyone says after they watch it.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, because Gary kept saying like, no, it's okay, and it's getting better. It's
he ate crow at the end.
Yep, and then it just falls off. Well, because they kept having the theories like, okay, the previous writers that they only had it from this episode to this episode, and then they're gone, and then the old ones came in, like all this stuff, and it's just like.
No, Gary, they got you again, man. They got you again.
He's like, they got me again. Because you don't know what to believe when you look up these articles and everything.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's easier to rely on it's going to be shit and then be surprised.
Yeah, that's why I don't go out to movies. Nothing, that's why I'm like, everything I watch is always some older stuff, man. Like it just every so often you get a nice little gem that you take out of the pile of shit. But like I said, those are the rare ones where it's like maybe a season, 2 seasons, and that's always like at the end, like you're just like almost at a cliffhanger almost. I mean, even if it is like, let's say, even if it is like a show that like a mini series or like a mini movie series or whatever. Like even then, sometimes if they're really good, I feel like they could have expanded on it, and they never do. I don't know if anyone know what I mean. Say that.
I'll say this as far as new stuff coming out. Taylor Sheridan and Guy Ritchie are killing it.
Yeah.
Oh, Guy Ritchie, you can't, come on. Guy Ritchie's fucking, he's man, never disappointed. Guy Ritchie never disappoints.
Because everyone's praising Mobland, which is one of his shows. The Gentleman from last year was one of his shows. And then all the stuff that Taylor Sheridan's putting out, Landman,
I heard Landman.
Tulsa King. Yeah, they're all good.
Yeah. Well, and that's how it should be. So, and then with like House of the Dragon stuff, it's just like have an idea of how you want to start and stop it, and then just give it all. Like, don't worry too much about the studios kind of get involved or whatever the case is. Have a plan and then do it. But yeah, obviously, like Game of Thrones didn't have a good plan. House of the Dragon was supposed to. They're supposed to have 4 seasons, and then it would start and end, and it would just be a very contained thing. But now they messed up with the last season. They brought down 2 episodes. It was supposed to be 10, brought down to 8, and they didn't include the big battle.
Yeah, everyone was
leading up to.
Everyone was pissed off with the way season 2 ended, and like I said, if it had those 2 extra episodes, it would have included that battle, and it probably would have been a huge ending.
Probably. But now they have to like add in that battle along with a bunch of other ones to get it to the stopping point. Because yeah, I don't want it to go on for 8 seasons and just teeter out and stuff.
And fair warning, don't hitch your ride to any of those characters in that series, because it pretty much ends badly for everyone.
Yeah.
If you've read the actual literature that's behind that.
I have not. I need to get into that. I'll probably do audiobook first, but yeah. What about Entourage? This is one of the biggest sellers of DVD back then.
Really?
I never watched
2000s.
I heard it was good.
It was kind of because it was HBO.
Watched it.
Never watched it?
No.
It was good. It was just basically based. It was Mark Wahlberg helped producing it along with other people, and then it was like what it's like to be an actor. Both a popular one and not popular one, and your entourage and how this stuff goes. It was cool, like glimpse into it. Obviously, a lot of it's like fake, like they're writing stories, but they tried to base it on real people. And in one of the seasons, there's a producer called Harvey. So I don't think they call him Harvey Weinstein, but it definitely looks just like him, and it's wild. And so it's like they were, telling the stories of what was going on in Hollywood, basically out in a film and in a funny kind of way before the whole allegations and, criminal stuff actually happened. So that's one reason I'm like, I definitely want to buy it. Cause like I went back and watched it and I'm like, I knew that guy was like, name was Harvey. I'm like, did they directly, use the same person?
Yeah, it's like, did they mean to do that?
Yeah, it's like how intentional, like, and this is early on. This is like 2008, 2009, time frame. So it definitely ruffled some feathers, I'm sure.
Well, fuck you. Harvey Weinstein was he was like the big name back then too. So like,
I think he was the king. Like, if you wanted a film made or want to be an actor or actress in it, like that's who you had to talk to. It was just like a normal thing. But then his, whatever.
Yeah.
And now I guess Candace Owens recently had a interview with him while he's in prison and stuff like that. And he's like, I did some crazy bad things, but I didn't do some illegal things.
Yeah, he was like, maybe not illegal, but definitely immoral.
He's like, I'm a horrible human, but it's not illegal. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
I mean, when I can't.
In some ways, he may be technically right. Maybe some of the things he did weren't illegal, but it still makes him immoral.
Yeah.
The way Gary puts it, like they wanted to push him out, and they found the perfect time with the Me Too's and stuff like that, where it was like the perfect time to do it because everyone used to like praise him. Oprah, what's her name? Jennifer, Hunger Games girl,
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yep. So like you can owe her career to basically Harvey Weinstein and stuff.
There's a lot of female actresses that owe their careers to him.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the details, but yeah, there's a lot out there. And then when it all went down, they all threw him under the bus. And it's like, okay, then who else is doing that kind of stuff behind the scenes? I don't know. Part of me doesn't want to know.
But
just make good movies.
Well,
they can't do anymore.
Even Gary said it. That was a power play because J.J. Abrams' wife was behind all of the B2 movement.
Well, you know what's funny? You know what's funny? There's I was on Twitter. It was not long ago, but like I think it was fucking. People were talking about the girl that's playing like Ellie from like Last of Us and like all these fucking female actors in the last couple of years, and they're like ugly, right? And they're like, guys, what if I'm not excusing what Harvey Weinstein did, but what if he was the guy that was holding all the uggos back in Hollywood, and that's why like we're seeing all these ugly girls like he
took on all the uglies. All the ugly went into him. Yeah, he's just blocking it.
Yeah, he's like, man, I don't know. I'm not saying what he did was right, but
I know. I know what you mean. There was a shift in like the superhero kind of stuff where the women were wearing more, and guys too, for that matter. It used to be the Marvel trope was to have the superhero, the guy, have a shirtless scene montage or whatever the case is, and then that slowly went away, and then the women were like Black Widow. Watch her in Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, especially Iron Man 2, and Avengers, and it's completely different from her own movie and the last couple of Avengers movies where. Now and then Captain Marvel, all of them they're wearing all these tons of layers, like Haley Atwell and stuff. It's like, what happened to feminism? Or feminine, body and
female body,
awesome.
yeah.
And it's supposed to be fantasy, sci-fi, whatever.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of Black Widow. Is she uses her feminine wilds to, do what she does in the spy game.
Yep. All right, last one I got for tonight is Supernatural. Mentioned it before. So yeah, this was the first season, and they definitely aged.
Yeah, you see the last season, and then go back and watch the first season, and they look so young.
Yeah, it was wild. Like, and there were good like special effects, because they had vampires, demons, all that kind of stuff on a freaking CW show. And they were to pull it off for, however many seasons. But yeah, it was a good one for sure. I don't know if I'll get all 15 seasons because that's a lot.
That's expensive.
Probably hard to be expensive, probably hard to find. I'll put that out later, kind of one, but yeah, that was definitely like the continuation of like an X-Files style. And then
and it has that feel. And even X-Files had its episodes that were kind of a story arc that was going throughout the show, but you also had the one-off episodes, which again were the ones I preferred because I liked that kind of like Star Trek, like the Next Generation. Most of their episodes were episode in a bottle, kind of thing. It was just one episode. It was self-contained. You have a moral quandary in that episode. Sometimes it's solved, sometimes it's not. And then you move on to a new problem,
Yep. But yeah, that's what I got for today as far as new factory sealed box sets. Like I said, I got all these ones are factory sealed behind me over here. I got a couple layers. And then in my storage room is the whole complete unopened or opened, kind of collection. I separated them out into genre at first. Well, first I was going and opening each one to see if the actual disc was in there. And then I found like 20 that didn't have it or mix and matches. And I'm like, fuck, now I got to like buy either the disc or a case for different ones. And I'm hoping that maybe I'll eventually, they'll pair up eventually over time. Could be. So yeah, I did them by genre, which guess what genre I have the most of? If you had to like think about like action, rom-com, sci-fi, fantasy.
I want to say sci-fi.
Had a lot.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Comedy.
Comedy.
Yeah. For some reason, comedy, I had a ton just because I guess so much, comedy movies are easy to make. You can make, 90 minutes and pay the actors, usually comedians. Like, here's some money. Go and just be yourself pretty much with the script.
And that's the good thing about going back and watching the old stuff, especially when it comes to comedy, is because comedy is one of those genres that was killed by the woke era.
Yep.
And don't forget, you also had a lot of like just kind of bad comedy movies. There's like an era during like the 90s to the 2000s where like we don't, you know, that's the thing too. We don't have. I haven't seen good comedy, like a good comedy that like we grew up with, you know. But
The
like,
Hangover,
yeah, you
was
know,
like
stuff
the
like
last
that.
one, and
But
that's like
like,
15 years ago.
Yeah, but like
18, maybe.
I remember
that came out in 2009.
It was 2009, yeah, around that time. But like I remember there's a time like late 90s, like early 2000s, where it was like just like there were some good ones, but there's a lot of bad ones that came out too. That like I don't know, it was like
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of it was like the coming of age type stuff. So you got your American Pie.
Yeah.
So you got your like high school
Like the
stuff,
scary
so
movie stuff.
Yep.
I would argue we had better stuff in the 2000s and 2010s than we have now, because you had Super Bad that came out in 2005, I think.
Yeah,
you had
good ones.
You had The Hangover. It's just I'd have to go back and look at them all, but it's like you had Tropic Thunder that came out in 2006.
I like 40-Year-Old Virgin. 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah, 40-Year-Old Virgin was great. Yeah, so there's just a better era for comedy, and the stuff that we have now is just garbage.
Yeah,
because they can't make fun of them.
It.
We can't make fun of anything anymore.
Well, that's what YouTube's for now. It's like we are the comedy kind of stuff, you know, especially people that have like the weekly episodes. It's like it's kind of like a TV show in a way.
Yeah. But like interactive TV, you know what I mean? You got to chat, you can talk with people, and like the person on the other side that's streaming, he'll talk to you if you know, if he sees your chat or if you pay enough, like you know what I mean? Like it's crazy how it's like how
it is like the next frontier is YouTube, it's streaming, whatever, and it's any kind of different things, you know, like you said, the super chats or the shows, because then you got that instant, you know, you could tell the person to F off, or you could say like, oh cool, good idea, I might, you know, add that in, or you get enough people talking about it and be like, hey, that fucking background's horrible, you know, or something like that. Like, I might tweak it a little bit, you know, where you can't, you know, and that's the thing, going back, like we were talking about, that they were filming shows while they were airing too. And so they could make, you know, minor changes. And like you said, Alf, you know, they'll drop the whole 8 episodes now, and you can't change anything. It is what it is.
If they were airing a show throughout the year, and say the audience wasn't liking one of the characters, they could, you know, move that character away or take him off the show and change things up as the show went. Now they can't do that. They drop it all at once, or, you know, they film it all and then they drop it over the period of a couple of weeks, but they've already filmed it, so they can't go and change it.
I think it takes a certain quality, you know, maker of it, whether it's a director, producer, whatever. Because like House of Cards was amazing. Like it had like I think it was like, was it 12 episodes each? It was something like that, where it was like a good amount. It wasn't the whole 20, but you could watch the whole thing. You could binge it, or you could just watch episode by episode. And it was very self-contained. It knew where it was going each season. I kept thinking it was a mini series, because like it was Netflix's like one of the first, you know, shows that was only theirs. And I'm like, okay, this House of Cards is awesome. It's probably just like, you know, a start and stop, you know, but it's like, oh nope, season 2, season 3, 4. And then it started to get a little crazy.
Well, you know,
Kevin Spacey and his stuff.
You know, the way the Horny Alpha was talking about, like the way that these episodes, they come out with the full, like, you know, 8 or whatever. And it's like, it's almost like it's just like a TV show. No, I'm sorry. It's like a movie that they just made a movie, chopped it up for, you know, 30-minute or like 1 hour segments. And then like, that just seems like it, you know what I mean?
I was saying it to Drew at the beginning of the show, is like that everyone with the streaming services has adopted the HBO model for making shows, because that's how HBO always used to do it. Is they'd film the whole series and they'd release it week to week, but it was already all filmed. Right. And they would have shorter seasons, because their whole model was a more premium show content, you know, all the HBO shows. And now everyone's trying to mimic that, and they're not all pulling it off. And then and then they don't know how to efficiently make these shows. So it's taking them 2 years between seasons, which is ridiculous. I think Taylor Sheridan's getting better at it. He's getting them to the point where he's releasing every year, but it's still,
that's the way it should be. So it's predictable, you know, just like having a streaming show, predictable every week. You know, that's how it should be. Because the whole thing with this whole, like, okay, gonna drop a whole series or a season on Netflix, and then gets done, and they're like, "Oh, would you make changes to it?" And then they come out with season 2, and it's just garbage because they probably make too many changes, or the actors go on and do something else, and yeah, it just doesn't work that way. So it's like completely different shows. But yeah, I like what Taylor Sheridan's doing. Where that even one, it feels like there's a cliffhanger, like on Mobland. It like each one, it's you could tell that like, okay, this episode has ended. Now there's gonna be a new one, and it's I can't wait to watch it. I'm gonna watch tonight or probably after this. The next season or next episode that's on. Well, yeah, that's what I got for box sets and kind of series to talk about.
Yeah, once I get moved into my new house and get set up, I plan on setting up a camera where I can show off some of my physical media. Just have it pointed at the desk or something, and I can bring it up and show you guys.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, that way I can. And I like the idea of like looking at the condition. Obviously, these are all new, but then I have the used ones where it's like, okay, the case kind of sucks, but the disc is good, or the disc sucks, but the case is, and then I can look it up online and get an estimated value, I guess.
Right.
Awesome. But yeah, we'll leave it there, and hope you guys have an outstanding night, and see you next time.
See ya.
Peace.
Evergreen.